The U.S. is slapping Canada with a 50% tariff on $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. So here's a look at some of the products impacted. Agricultural goods, Canadian liquor, lumber, electronics, diamonds, even cosmetics. Canada is vowing to retaliate with tariffs of their own that will go into effect on September 8th. Slamming that move, President Trump says Canada needs the U.S., not the other way around, adding they are among the worst nations in the world to deal with. So here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent doubling down on that earlier today.
I think he would like Canada to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. They were offered quite a good deal last week. They chose to reject it. Unfortunately, Prime Minister Carney rose to power on an anti-American, anti-Trump platform. I believe he was more than 20 points behind, and he seems to have gone back to his old playbook. And I think one has to ask oneself, is he trying to benefit himself, the Liberal Party, or the Canadian people?
So let's go to Rob Russo, the Canada correspondent for The Economist and a former parliamentary bureau chief for CBC News. Rob, your reaction to that comment from Bessent today?
Well, I think that there is a kernel of truth in what Secretary Bessent is saying, and wrapped around it is a great deal of piffle and bafflegab. It is absolutely true that Mark Carney would not be Prime Minister of Canada today if it weren't for the rise of Donald Trump. But it's not because he has any particular animus towards Donald Trump. Donald Trump is single-handedly responsible for resuscitating a party that was dead and buried under Justin Trudeau. It was President Trump's suggestion, he poured scorn on the notion that Canada is a functioning state and really should join the United States. That reanimated the Liberal Party. They did a bloodless switcheroo and brought in this guy from the outside, Mark Carney, who promised to stand up to President Trump. And all of a sudden, this party that couldn't fog a mirror a year and a half ago wins an unlikely fourth consecutive term. So Mr. Bessent is right that Mr. Carney rose to power this way. But if he's staying in power, if he remains popular, the only reason for that is because of the threat that Canadians feel, according to polls, by Mr. Trump and his tariffs and what he's suggesting about the future of Canada.
Okay, so speaking of polls, a recent poll from Nanos Research found that 69% of Canadians are unlikely to buy American liquor if it's back on the shelves in Canada. Now, this is just liquor we're talking about, but how are Canadians reacting to it, and how are they feeling about American goods and the United States in general?
Well, look, all I got to do to that is walk a couple of blocks down from where I live here to the grocery store, and you will see that in action. You go into that store and you'll see all of these mild-mannered Canadians picking up a lemon, picking up an orange, taking off their glasses and peering at it to look at that little table, that little label on it. And if it comes from California or if it comes from Florida, they put it back. Canadians are voting with their wallets. They're voting with their feet. They're either abandoning or ignoring their vacation homes in California, Arizona, and Florida. They're not going. It's costing the U.S. economy, one of the estimates I saw in the Wall Street Journal, 40,000 jobs. And it's not because they don't like Americans. They love Americans. Mm-hmm. You're our family. You're our cousins. But again, they feel like there has been nothing but scorn from the U.S. president towards Canada, and that, in the words of the Prime Minister, the president doesn't just want to break us, he wants to own us. Those are the words of Mr. Carney.
Yeah, they're being very intentional with their choices, for sure. Nearly 72% of Canada's goods exports went to the U.S. last year. So do they need a trade deal more than the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's part of the Carney conundrum. His conundrum is he would like to see trade go up with the United States, but he would like that number diversified. So we get more from Europe, we trade more with Asia. So we're not a country that has all of its export eggs in one basket. So yes, Canada does need the United States more than the United States needs Canada. I think the United States only exports about 17% of its goods to Canada. However, Julietta, it's important to know that we're in midterm season. And I noticed that swing states like North Carolina, like Maine, like Michigan, Georgia, Ohio, Iowa, all of those swing states have as their number one export market Canada. So does it matter politically to the United States that there is a deal with Canada? Yes. Economically, less so. But in those states in particular, they would feel the pinch. And they're already feeling the pinch of what is an escalating and enraged trade war with two of the countries who had the friendliest relationship forever. We have the longest undefended border in the world, and we have, I think, the best trading relationship of any two countries in the world, or we did until very recently.
Yeah. Thank you for your insight. We'll check back with you very soon, Rob Russo. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.